What is up, guys? Welcome to the ThinkComputers weekly tech podcast. This is episode 267, and our podcast is brought to you by Amazon. If you go to thinkcomputers.org/Amazon and happen to purchase something, that gives us a little kickback and keeps the podcast on going. With me is my co-host, Ryan. What's going on?
What's going on? I had the week off last week for the podcast.
Yeah. So. If you guys...
much more handsome face in my spot, too.
What?
Winston
Winston. Yeah. So if you guys missed it, last episode or last week, we had a guest on, Winston from Funky Kit. The way I like to do it is just kind of talk about them, right? So we talked about how he got into the industry, how he runs his website, those type of things. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out the previous episode 266. We had a lot of fun during that one. Gave Ryan the week off. Which he was dealing with some crazy fires and some other stuff going on. And I've just been packing, dude. This is the last episode in this space right here. It's the last one. Yep. Which I would say...
Yeah, I think you're excited for the new place for sure, right?
I'm super excited for the new place. I'm not excited.
Not going to miss that place.
I would say I'm like 80% packed, right? And I'm not excited to just continue packing because that's all I've been doing for 2 weeks. And I'm not excited for the drive. So I'm driving from Pittsburgh to California, which is like 4-day drive.
Yeah. If you want to be sane after it. Yeah. It's a long drive.
Yeah, it's a long drive. I like basically the first 3 days are close to 9 to 10 hour days. And then the last day is like a 7.5 hour drive. So still basically, I'm going to be sitting in a car all day for 4 days straight. So I'm not looking forward to that, but I'm looking forward to the new space for sure. If you guys don't know, I did a video on it a while ago of this space. And this is a one-bedroom apartment where I turned basically the living room into an office. And while it worked, it's not ideal. I always knew that I was moving, right? So I always knew that this wasn't going to be a permanent thing because we were planning to move across the country anyways. So I never really did anything to the space. I set my desk here, and I got this RGB light, and I never really
lighting, that's about it.
Yeah, I never really made it into a space that I could be ultra productive in. And I think that's one reason why I didn't make as many videos as I've wanted to this year so far. And this place, this apartment complex, is like the worst place I've ever lived in my life. Ryan knows.
Be quiet.
Yeah, the neighbors screaming and dogs barking and fights. It's just like when you're trying to, at least with the podcast, we have Nvidia broadcasts. So if there is
which I think might be giving you some issues tonight. You're getting a little garbled every now and then.
Oh, really?
Yep. Not always. That's just sorry.
But anyways, so we have Nvidia broadcasts. So if there's stuff going on in the background, you don't hear it. But when I would record videos, obviously my camera doesn't have Nvidia broadcasts. Yep. So that would be an issue and a lot of other things. But yeah, I'm excited for the new place. I can't wait. Once I'm there, I will feel very relieved and a lot better. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. So
and it really shows you what you do use on a regular basis and what you don't, right? You're you say you're 80% packed. 20% of that is probably the stuff that you're constantly using, or you're just I can't put this away till last minute because I'm gonna need it between now and then. And then there's that 80% where you're do I need this stuff anymore? It's taking up space. Do I need to move it?
That's why we were doing all the giveaways, and we're still going to be doing the giveaways, is because I had so much stuff stuff I just didn't use, and I figure what better way than just to give it away to you guys, our listeners and our little community that we have here. And they're still going on. We'll definitely talk about that. Because I've been so busy, no reviews, and I did get Comet Lake processors, right? Comet Lake, right? I'm not going crazy. Yeah. 11th gen processors, Z590 motherboards. I do have them. They're behind me. I've been testing them, but I didn't get them till Monday. And there was no way I could get a review done before the podcast. It's just, I feel like the processors were on that big ship in the canal.
Yeah, no, I sent you a message. You said they showed up. I was like, oh, were they stuck in the Suez Canal?
Yeah. So like I said, so no reviews this week. Those will be next week. And again, next week, we probably won't have a podcast. So we'll talk about them the following week, more than likely. I'm like 90% sure we're not going to have a podcast because I don't think I'll be all set up in the new place to do all of that. Right. So yeah. So we'll just jump into other stuff we have going on the site, and of course news. There's a lot of interesting stories this week, and there's a really interesting case mod that we featured this week, which I really like. I think it's super cool. You don't see these as much because we're focused on these big builds with all this crazy water cooling, but this is something completely different. This is called Betty, and it is a little toaster, a retro toaster that basically the guts of the toaster have been taken out, and it's been the guts of the toaster have been replaced with a PC, and a pretty decent PC for what it is. You can see, this is the toaster retro kind of style. You can see the two fans that were installed at the top, but the internals kind of look something like this, which is you have a 2080 Ti in there. You have your SFX power supply, ITX motherboard. The cooling solution.
It brings me back to two eras, right? You've got this retro 50s looking toaster, and then the fans on top look like the original like blue LED fans that were like all clear plastic, and the fan grills on top of them. So I'm stuck between the 50s and late 90s, early 2000s. But I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, and you have an AIO, which is probably a 120 or 140 in the bottom there. It's just it's again, we focus on all these crazy water builds and stuff like that, but it's just, just the sheer size of it. There's a banana, so it is the size of an actual toaster because that's what it was, actually made out of. You can see the other side with the graphics card, and put another fan in there, and I don't know. I think it's really cool. We don't.
No, is that power supply like glued to the base? It almost looks like it's
it kind of looks
to keep
like
stuff.
It looks like there was like these brackets made, and then they probably added the extra glue.
Pretty sure it's probably pretty limited on what your options are. So
yeah. So really cool stuff there. Like I said, it's just here's what it looks like from the other side there. But imagine like going into somebody's house and you just see this sitting on their desk and be like, "That's your computer?" Be like, "Yeah, man, that's very cool." So that is by Adrian Waters. And I found this one on Facebook. So, cool. Yeah, go ahead and check that out for sure. And talking about the giveaways, we're on week 10. Can you believe it? 10 weeks in a row, we've given away a product, which is, I think, pretty cool.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So week 10, another portable SSD because I have so many and I review a lot. And this one is from HP. It's their P700, 1 terabyte. So definitely great for like a video editing drive or a games drive. Super fast. I love portable SSDs. And the one thing that's cool about this one, it's like a 2-part SSD that the bottom part comes off and it holds the actual cable. So you'll never lose the cable, which is kind of nice. But just like all of our contests, just, we do it with Gleam. You just enter your email and all that, and you get, there's like 11 extra ways to enter by subscribing to like, say, like this podcast or liking us on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. Again, these are only one week. So 5 days left on this one. Every Tuesday we announce new stuff. And once I get moved in, there's still going to be at least 3 or 4 more giveaways. So stay tuned because we'll have more and more stuff to give away as I unpack the stuff that I packed that I should have given away before I went. But that's just kind of how it worked there. So So definitely get in on the giveaway, and we'll move over to news. And we have 3 stories all about mining. The first one is good for Nvidia, I would say. Nvidia is set to sell 30 million worth of their CMP, which is their mining specific graphics cards, to a Bitcoin mining corporation. I think this is like their only customer for these. Like, we talked about this.
Someone wanted them, yeah.
We talked about this so many times. Is that, as say I want to make, I think I can make some extra money, mining Bitcoin or mining. Well, basically, if you're mining Ethereum, for the most part, and okay, I'll invest in 10, 20, 30 graphics cards, as a business. And these CMP cards, they're only made for mining, so it doesn't necessarily help me 2 years later when I want to sell these cards off, right? It just
they're no longer efficient miners, right? So nobody wants to mine with them, and you can't say, oh, well, at least it's still a video card, and I can, it has some value to somebody that wants a video card. Right?
Yeah,
it just doesn't exist with this product.
Yeah, so they sold these to Hut 8 Mining, $30 million order. So and George Shapiro in the chat says something about that story just depresses me. 30 million from a mining corporation, kind of dystopian. Yeah, it's I would love to see, because I've seen pictures, but I would love to go to a mining farm and just really see what it's like. I've been in I've been in a colo center, which is really cool if you've never been, to see the tape backups, which are like to these big boxes.
Yeah, they can be pretty massive.
Yeah. But I would love to go. I think there's actually some Nevada, which will be semi close to where I'm going to be moving to.
And it always feels like the pictures you see online, there's never an in between. It's either they look super professional in these mining rigs, or it's somebody's crummy apartment or garage, and they're just stacked on pizza boxes and crates and just figuring out any way they can to get these rigs going. You never see I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what an actual company setup looks like for these.
Yeah. So maybe sometime in the future I'll be able to see what that's all about. The next story is kind of there's no clarification on this story, so it is kind of interesting, but we don't have a whole lot of clarification. But apparently 300 of these Nvidia CMP mining cards, not the ones that were sold to the company, but just 300 of the mining cards were seized by Hong Kong customs. I don't know if they were stolen. I don't know if there's no clarification on why they were seized. The story kind of talks about how that a lot of these mining companies are taking advantage of electricity, very, very low cost electricity. They were talking about Mongolia and other places where electricity hardly costs anything. And then these mining companies are going in and they're setting up shop there, and they're drawing so much power, it's actually hurting the grid itself, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, this is what 300 of those mining cards look like.
Well, it looks like they're laid out next to some other hardware too, to the left and right of them. Looks like there's other hardware. So was this seized as one big operation? Did they just happen to be in something along with other equipment? Who knows?
It's not.
It'd be interesting to know the full story.
Obviously, this was a Chinese publication, and there's not a whole lot of clarification. But obviously, the whole mining thing. The article also said that China alone supplies 65% of the global mining power, which is pretty crazy. Wow. Again, lower cost electricity. It makes, Wait, why is
you see that? That's not us. That's a thing. Computer.org.
Oh, I was like, why? I was like, why did you type that
message?
Yeah.
No. I don't know if you can.
There's a message in our chat that I thought Ryan sent. I was like, wait a minute.
That's not legit.
Yeah. It was, and the thing is, it's crazy. So we're talking about mining, and wasn't that like a spam for mining?
It was.
Like
it was for
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
So,
they're listening, bro. They're listening. So yeah, so that is our second story about mining. And if we go to our third story here, this is kind of cool because this is something that we've been talking about since the release of the RTX 3060. We reviewed the RTX 3060. Check out the review on the website, or the video is on our YouTube as well. And the RTX 3060, the big story about its launch is that basically Nvidia, crippled the card for mining. For Ethereum mining, they crippled the card. And the reason they did that is so that more cards would be available to gamers, not miners, right? And the whole idea is that would actually work. But when you actually, when you actually went there on day one, there were no cards to be had anyways. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's kind of it was just like, I always said that if I own the card, I should be able to do what I want with it. It doesn't matter what it is. I should be able to do, what I want. And I think a lot of people kind of felt the same way, but whatever. So Nvidia initially said that this was specific, like there was a hardware handoff. It wasn't software. It wasn't the driver, right? Mm-hmm. And then they accidentally updated the driver and took off the limitation. So it all became driver. So it all became like, everybody knew that it wasn't hardware specific. It was software specific. So when they updated that, it kind of fixed a few things. But you still had to be connected. You still had to have a monitor connected at all times, right? And then the card itself had to be connected to an X8 or higher PCI Express slot. So we saw a four-way RTX 3060 mining rig because they used HDMI dummy plugs. So we talked about that like 2 weeks ago. Now somebody was able to get 7 cards running using HDMI dummy plugs and a specific motherboard, with using the risers and all that stuff. So this is kind of what it looks like. All of the cards, these are all Zotac cards. And as you can see, they're using the risers here. So they said it only works with this specific motherboard, which we don't know which motherboard it is.
Yeah, I was looking to see if I could find what board that was.
But basically, in less than a month since launch, miners have found out a way to just get the limitation off, right? Which is pretty
kind of sad.
Pretty sad. Something that Nvidia said that there was a hardware handoff, or it's direct, it's hardware based. You're not going to be able to take it off of software. It's been defeated, and that just shows you that miners will do what they, if they want to mine, they're going to, no matter what.
Yeah, the miner said, "Hold my beer," and then they figured out a way to do it, right?
Yeah. So that's it was George says in the chat, and guys, if you are in the chat, if you want to talk with us or engage with us, definitely shoot some stuff in the chat. George says it was to encourage the sale of mining cards, which is a kind of product that can mop resources that might otherwise be wasted. Disingenuous nonsense, but helping gamers. Yeah, I like I said, I like the idea of being gamers or getting more cards out to gamers, but I think we all knew, at least in my head, I was like, they're gonna be sold out anyways, which they were. Yeah. And at the same time, I don't like a company limiting my product, right? Like if I have have this pen, and this pen, if this pen, like if you limit what I can do with this pen, then I don't actually fully own. It's like one of those things.
It's like my keyboard. Like, this is a computer keyboard. but guess what? It works on my Xbox too. Oh no! We've put in firmware so that you can't use it there, and you're like, well,
Yeah,
why
you have
not?
to buy
It's like
you have to
it's a
buy our
keyboard, like
Xbox keyboard.
right.
Yeah,
Gotta buy the Xbox
yeah,
keyboard. You're like, no, like it's the same thing. Don't be stupid.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I feel about it. But it's at least these guys figured out a way to, you know,
Yep, skirt
just
around it.
yeah, get around it in less than a month too. So yeah.
Kind of funny.
So another interesting thing, GPU related, that came out this past week is that Gigabyte, what's ES? What's the country ES? That's
Spain.
Spain, yeah. Gigabyte Spain put out this graphic, which I'll show you guys.
I love this.
And it is a concept. This is obviously a render. This is not a real graphics card, but this is a way of not only kind of like showing off, I guess, your shroud of your graphics card, but at the same time, it helps with cooling, right? Um, because you have your heat sinks here, but if you see over here, there's a heat sink as well. And it puts the card kind of on this more of like a display. In a sense, it's more to display the card rather than just have it the way you would normally see a graphics card. I like this idea. I don't know how efficient it would be. Since there's more room, technically, it would, I would think you would have more, like there'd be more room for air to flow, flow through the card, I would say.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm kind of, I don't know, torn with this image because if you like actually look at how the bracket is, that's not how GPUs are laid out right now. Because the way that the way the back plate goes and the little tab for like screwing in is actually opposite,
Yeah.
kind of. So I don't know if they flipped the image, whatever the case may be. I think it could be cool though, kind of doing an angled card, and we've seen some angled brackets. I think Cooler Master has that,
I love the angle
which really
brackets,
looks
actually.
cool.
Yeah.
And this isn't necessarily that same thing because your GPU is still the PC board is still going to sit flat or vertical depending on how you mount it, but your cooling solution's at an angle. So I think you could still get some neat looks plus maybe some better cooling out of it.
Yeah.
So
very,
it's
very
neat.
cool.
It's something new.
Yeah. So so like I said, they just put it up on, and it wasn't April 1st, so I don't think it was an April Fool's. They posted it, so I don't know. But yeah, pretty interesting there. We'll see if any future products come out of that. What else we have? So everybody's been talking about resizable bar on graphics cards, adding more performance, a little bit more performance. Well, EVGA and the Precision X1 software, that is their kind of companion software that comes with their graphics cards, allows you to overclock, a lot of other stuff. They've added the resizable bar into it. So it kind of gives you this checklist, which is really nice because depending on the motherboard that you have and the graphics card that you have to do certain things. You need, you have to be running as certain drivers. Like they have this checklist, which I think is really, really nice, right? It just makes it easier for somebody because again, they're like a lot of beginners, like they hear about this thing. Oh, how do I enable it? What do I do to enable it? This gives you the checklist right in the Precision X1 software, right? Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So
Now
you can.
That just comes starting with 30 series, though, correct? Yeah.
I believe so. Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like I said, it's already in the software. It makes sure that you have everything that you need, and it enables it. And there is a graph you can see
cool.
the difference. The performance with those things turned on and off, and it just makes it easy. And if you don't have the right like VBIOS for the card, you just hit update. Oops, you hit update in the software, and
not a real button.
Not a real. I was like, yeah, you hit update, hit the button, and then it goes to the next image. But yeah, pretty cool stuff there. So just making it easier for people to enable that feature if you want to.
Yep. That'd be a nice thing, I think, if Nvidia put that into like GeForce Experience or something as well.
You know how that goes.
Yeah.
Is
I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it'd be nice if it was there.
Yeah. We need an all-in-one, all-encompassing NVIDIA software. We like NVIDIA GeForce Experience, but we don't like NVIDIA Control Panel. You need to remake the software into one.
Yes.
The NVIDIA Control Panel is from 1998.
Yes, it is.
GeForce Experience is much newer. So
Yep.
it just needs to be all put in one. Talking about NVIDIA, the RTX 3050 and 3050 Ti mobile GPUs and their benchmarks were revealed, actually. So you can see these are from Notebook Check. So we will see, at least on the mobile side, an RTX 3050 Ti and an RTX 3050. Yeah, pretty cool. We have all the benchmarks if you want to check it out. It looks like the 3050 is much higher performance than the 1650 and 1650 Ti. It is a little bit below the 1660 Ti Max Q. And then the 3050 Ti sits above the 1660 Ti Max Q, but is slightly below the RTX 2060 Max Q. So that's kind of where it sits. So basically, more or less like a 1660, like the 3050 is a 1660 replacement. The 3050 Ti is a 1660 Ti replacement, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I get mixed up with these numbers so much.
I saw, and I think they've changed their article. The Verge had an article about some new Dell laptops that were Ryzen powered, and they were going to have, the RTX 3060 mobile available.
Oh, nice.
In them, so it kind of got me
So
thinking. And they were showing like the base price was like $800. I'm like,
yeah,
right.
This seems like, I think the 3050 will be the base, right? So if you want to go discrete, I think 3050 and 3050 Ti will be base. 3060, 3070, 3080. I think that's how it will go. But yeah, I'm just, like, we always talk about this on the podcast. We always talk about like new laptop.
New laptop.
Yeah, yep. And then I'm like, well, do I need a laptop? No, not really.
And right now, my CPU on my laptop is and the GPU. It's like a 1050 Ti. Those are the two things holding it back. If it wasn't for those, it's still fine. I put 32 gigs of RAM in it. It's got a couple solid state drives in it. It does just fine. So I don't really need one. I don't ever game with it. So, but I could if I wanted to.
It's always, like I said, like every time we would go to CES and go to Nvidia, and then you see the laptops and they're running the games, and you're like,
so thin and it's running it so nice. Yeah. That sure looks.
But the thing is you really think about is that if you're at home, you're always going to be on your desktop.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger screen in front of you, more power. And how often are you actually on the road using that laptop? And if you're on the road, how often are you actually gaming? Right. That's kind of.
Yeah, I don't travel for work, right? So, okay, that cuts that whole thing out. I don't travel that much anyways. So, nah.
Yeah. So another NVIDIA story. We talk about RTX Voice. We use it. I'm talking into for RTX Voice. And we love RTX Voice, but it was specifically marketed when it came out as a RTX only thing. Mm-hmm. RTX only, because according to Nvidia, it uses your Tensor cores, which are on 20 and 30 series graphics cards, to do that noise removal and all of that. And again, if you have an Nvidia card, I would highly suggest installing RTX Voice or Nvidia Broadcast, one of the two. Now, the RTX Voice app was hacked a couple months ago to allow GTX cards to use it unofficially. This was a hack that you could do that allowed to use the CUDA cores in a GTX card to do the voice manipulation, right? Well, now NVIDIA just quietly patched the RTX Voice software, and now all cards from the 30 series down to the GTX 600 series support RTX Voice. So that's kind of nice.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So basically, if you have an older card, you can use it. It is going to tax your GPU more because it's using specific cores that are going to be used that you would normally use to render out scenes and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. But this is the RTX Voice specific app. It's not Nvidia Broadcast. Nvidia Broadcast only works with 20 and 30 series.
Think of how nice this would be for, you've got an older GPU, and let's say you're doing a podcast and you want to just take advantage of that audio feature of cutting out the background noise, enabling that if you're not doing a bunch of other video stuff in your podcast or whatever recording. This is awesome.
I mean, it would be like this. Like, I could run an older card in here because we're using StreamYard, so I don't really have a whole lot of video. It's not taking a whole lot of horsepower to run the podcast that we're doing right now. So yeah, I think it's really cool. All the way down to 600 series. Do you remember the 600 series, man? That's so long ago.
I have a 460 in the storage room. I know that.
Gotcha. Well, talking about old stuff, I don't know if you remember back when, I don't know how many years ago this was. I don't know if it's in the article. But ASRock used to have an overclocking brand motherboards called OC Formula. I'm sure that name might ring a bell to some people. ASRock's OC Formula. Well, they're bringing it back with Z590. So they're bringing back it's the Z590 OC Formula motherboard. This was co-designed with Nick. I can never say his last name right. Professional overclocker, and this board is made for overclocking. That's what it's made for, which is really, really cool. I kind of like the color design brings you back a little bit to those older days. You know what I mean? Interesting M.2 slot right here too. By the way.
I don't know that we've seen a vertical oriented drive, but you think about it's only got 2 memory slots, right? Because it's mostly for overclocking. It's an extended. I don't know if it's quite eATX, but it's wider than an ATX motherboard.
Definitely XL or eATX for sure.
Right. So you've got a little extra space there. Why not put a drive there? I guess.
Look at all of these. Look at all the buttons.
All those buttons.
I love the buttons. You have the dip switches for your 3 PCI Express slots here. I don't know what this one does. You have these 2 other buttons over here, which with all these buttons, I have no clue what these do. You have. It looks like these right here down at the bottom. Those are your contact points to do your voltage readings. Lots of space around the actual socket, so you can put down the putty for doing LN2. Obviously, dual 8-pin over here.
It always cracks me up though that this has wireless on it, and there's still sound card built in, and it's obviously you can tell the sound components are isolated from the rest. It just cracks me up that it's an overclocking board, but they'll still throw stuff in if you just want to use this in a regular build.
Yeah, so pretty cool and interesting little detail here. So I assume this is just like a piece of plexi.
Yeah, glowing there. It looks cool.
Glows. Yeah, that's a little different. I don't think we've seen that before. So yeah, I don't know if they list the price. No price. This should be fairly expensive, depending. I don't know what the VRMs on this either. So this is 16 phase, all 90 amp power stages. 50 amp Dr. MOSFETs, 12 layer server grade PCB. So this thing's made for high end overclocking, which is pretty cool. So definitely, it's kind of cool to see them bring back an old brand. You know what I mean? I still wish, I still remember, and I always talk about this, is the DFI
LAN party.
Those are my favorite boards, man. That was one of the first builds I ever did was the DFI LAN party.
Yeah, or was it? I think Chain Tech. Somebody had a pistol on the board.
MSI had a pistol.
Maybe it was MSI. Yeah, and just all sorts of crazy colors on components on the boards.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that anymore because people get upset if you put guns on things.
Well,
but talking about MSI, they also have a pretty cool Z590 special edition board. This is their Z590 Ace Gold Edition. So it's kind of the same as their Z590 Ace, but it's sort of like this metallic silver with the gold accents, which I do love. I really like this color design. It would have been better with a white PCB. But
it'd hide all those solder points, which I think would look nicer. It just looks a little busy to me with the black PCB. But
But I do like the gold. Anytime you can incorporate gold into like and gold with like another lighter color. So it's like, because when you put gold on black, it doesn't like
It usually doesn't stick out as much. Yeah.
it doesn't stick out as much as if you put it like on the silver and all of that. And I'm pretty sure that this logo that you hate, I know you hate the dragon, but the MSI dragon logo, I'm assuming that lights up, which would be pretty cool as well. So yeah, check that one out. Again, really.
And it looks like it's got a shield or a plate on the back of it too.
Ooh,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, with your awesome MSI dragon logo there. So yeah, so you have all that. So really cool, some really cool Z590 boards if you haven't seen them. This is going to be priced at 500 big ones, $500.
Yep.
So yeah, so go ahead and check that out. In the chat, Old Man is in the house. He's usually here every week, one of our regulars. So what's going on? He said those boards look a little out of my price range. Yeah, me too. I do like the way I do like these special edition boards, because every generation, right? Every motherboard generation or every refresh or update or new processor, there is somebody who's building like their first time PC, or they're upgrading. They haven't upgraded in like 5-6 years. So they've saved up like $2-3 grand and they're going to go all out on this PC. And they want something that like, a special edition board like that. Like they want something like that. And I think that's really cool, because again, not everybody's going to buy it, but if this is like your PC you're going to have for the next 5, 6, 7 years, I'd go all out for sure. Cause I know I'm going to, have it for that long of time. So yeah. What else we have? So Creative put out a pretty cool audio product this week. It is called their I can't read. Their GC7 gaming DAC in amp, and it looks pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I saw this. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, so it's pretty, like I said, there. One thing I love about the Sound Blaster is while you do have this, like it all integrates with their software, which has so much stuff that you can really do with audio. Like you can get a little Sound Blaster internal, external audio card, and then the software allows you to really like make full use of the sound, which is cool. But it's their first premium gaming DAC and amp all in one. And it has like controls on it, so you can do your volume. You can switch your gain between the game and the voice. I love headsets that have that. So when we play, I can have the game sound up more than like my friends. So if Ryan's screaming about something, I don't hear him as much. I can hear the people around me. And then looks like these C1, 2, 3 are like they're custom buttons you can set. And then you can also set like your mic, your treble. It supports Sound Blaster Super X5, which if you haven't used is excellent.
Pretty awesome. Yep.
Yeah. I still think that it's better for media consumption than gaming. But it's still pretty cool for gaming as well. So
yeah, it's a neat product.
Yeah. So check that out as well. It's expensive. It's $219. But yeah, it has a DAC. It's an audiophile class DAC, 24-bit, 192 kilohertz PCM back, 7.1 versatile surround sound, Dolby Digital decoding, a ton of stuff in there. I'm not an audio person, but there's a lot built into this, which is really cool. So yeah, go ahead and check that out.
Do you want to go back to that Gigabyte monitor? You skipped it.
Oh, did I skip it? Yeah.
Yep.
Real quick, Rane, I can't say that. I'm sorry, I can't say your name. I'm like really bad at names. But yeah, what is going on? He or she is in the chat. He asked me how the moving situation is going. Well, as you can see, there's a ton of boxes behind me. And as Ryan said, I'm about 80% packed with everything is getting loaded on the truck on Friday, and it is Wednesday evening. So we're getting there. The next couple days are going to be interesting to say the least. So I skipped a story, which is something that I also want. I get this gaming DAC. I can get this monitor. Be all set up in the new place if I get both.
Be all set, yeah.
So Gigabyte has announced they had a little event, which is kind of crazy because we don't have live events anymore. But they had an event in Vietnam, and one of the highlights of that event was their new 40-inch monitor. It is the Aorus FV43U, 43-inch, 144 hertz gaming display. I like displays like this because this can be not only used as a monitor, but I always think, because I remember when I was in college, like we had a TV, and then we had you had a TV, and then you had like your monitor, and when I was in college, it was like a big like CRT monitor. But like a lot of people, they want to buy one display that they can use for multiple things. And I think 43 inches is big enough that you can consume like content on it. And it's really nice for gaming. And 144 hertz is really, really good as well. So that's kind of what the display looks like. It's not curved or anything like that.
No, it looks nice. Yeah, I think it would look good like on a TV stand too. It looks like a normal TV. It doesn't look like some flashy, weird-looking gaming device. It looks like a pretty standard new, flat screen TV, which I think will help it.
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
4K. Again, 143 hertz, 97% coverage of DCI-P3. It also has HDR 1000, so it's very bright, so 1000 nits. So it is a very, very good monitor, 1 ms response time. Pretty excited. Price tag of 168,000 yen, which I don't know what that is in US. I probably should put that in the article, but yeah, pretty cool monitor. I like seeing the big, the bigger monitors. We saw those like 3 or 4 years ago with those Nvidia big gaming displays, but I think that at that time that was like very niche, and I think these are going to be coming into their own as like a lot of people, as these prices of these monitors come down, people are like, why would I get like a 24 or 27
so it's like $1,500.
That's not bad. For the specs, I don't think it's bad. 144 hertz.
43-inch, 4K, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. This is something that I think you would be more interested in our next story here. So Microsoft is now using, we've seen this before. I've seen this multiple times, but we haven't like seen it on a. It's more or less the implementations that I've seen are kind of just like, they're not real implementations. They're like niche implementations. Like not a lot of people actually do this. Well, apparently Microsoft is going to be doing this for their servers, Microsoft Cloud and all that other stuff for their data centers. And this is pretty damn awesome. If you look at the picture, you can see that these servers, which are kind of like blades, they're in a 3M liquid that doesn't, of course, hurt the servers themselves. That's a really small picture. This allows the servers, which you can see the CPUs kind of right here, they don't need to have heat sinks on them, which actually saves space. So they're in this, you can see right here, like they're in, they're all numbered and they're so close together because they don't need the big heatsink fan or anything like that. And they don't need like a water cooler that would take up extra space with all the tubing and everything. It's kind of like in this, I guess you would call it almost like a refrigerator or freezer.
Like a chest freezer.
Yeah, like a chest freezer where you just put the blades down in this liquid, which is pretty awesome.
But it's like, okay, so how much does this liquid cost? What does this box that they're putting them in cost? Like,
well, if you think about it,
what's our crossover? I mean, if you can get them dense enough, maybe it makes
that's the thing.
Right?
So
you can get more density out of the same space. What
is there? There's 20. Say there's 20 in there, right? I would say with air cooling, you'd fit 5 in each side. With like liquid cooling, you'd fit. You don't think you'd fit 5?
You'd fit more than that.
I don't know. With like,
you think of some of the blade chassis now, yeah, you could fit more than 5. But still, I mean, that could be just like 20 blades, but the one they had pulled out looked like it had at least 2 CPUs on it, So who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
All this equipment in order to run that seems like a lot, but maybe not.
Yeah. And then George says,
it's cool either way.
He said probably a relatively nicer, quieter work environment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, is it possibly could use less power.
Yeah.
We don't know. So it's pretty cool. I think it's cool. I would love, again, like I love going in these places. Like I'd love to go in this data center and just like see this stuff working.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It'd be really, really cool. We were at CES. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. Gigabyte had like a demo of this for their server stuff, and it was really cool. Really, really cool to see. So very cool stuff there as well. And this is an interesting story. I see this one coming. I don't know if anybody saw this coming. This is not really computer related. It's more cell phone related. But it looks like LG is closing their mobile phone business completely. They're just getting out of the mobile phone business. See, I've been on iPhone so long. I know like this phone was big. This, whatever this one was, and there was a couple other LGs. Wasn't LG one of the first ones that did like the curved phone too? I think.
Curved phone?
Yeah, like they use the curved glass in the phone.
Maybe.
But yeah, so I mean, how
know,
big?
So many...
I mean, there's obviously like Apple, Samsung, and then like what, Google? Does Google actually make their own phone? They make their own handset?
They're going to be making it. I know like the first couple were HTC, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Is who the builder was on those. And then, whether they've just worked with like Foxconn or somebody on on more recent ones. I don't remember what they're built by. But yeah, I mean, those are, Apple, Samsung, HTC, except HTC really isn't that big. Motorola.
Yeah. I think it's just so hard to like, I mean, obviously Apple is its own thing, its own ecosystem, right? But like on the other side, it's so hard
There's so
to
many
beat Samsung, right? Because Samsung's like the number one.
Yeah, but I am not a Samsung fan as far as phones go.
What do you have?
The Pixel. Well, I'm on a Pixel 4 XL, so I'm kind of excited. There's been some rumors coming out about the Pixel 6 that look kind of cool, so I'm kind of getting excited for that. But this thing, I got it like pretty much release day, and it's coming up on a year and a half now. So 2 years, it'll be about time to upgrade. But this thing runs like a champ. I have no complaints, no slowdowns, anything. So yeah, I'm just not a Samsung fan. I don't like their bottom button layout. It's switched from every other Android.
Don't they use their own
version of the OS
skin?
Yeah. And I don't like the curved edges on their phones, the curved screen, and they have some neat features.
I mean, at least I thought like LG, and I could be wrong, but I mean, I thought they were like a very good competing brand against all the other brands, like them, HTC, Motorola, whatever. Like they were, they were kind of, I don't know.
I mean, everybody's had an LG, right? Like the old, or I'm thinking Nokia, but still, yeah, LG's been around for quite a while.
Yeah. So, Greg in the chat said the phone that I was talking about was the LG Flex, which I'm gonna try to bring up a video of it. Yeah, I remember seeing this at CES. It was like it was like a big deal. Here,
Okay, yeah, I remember this thing.
It was like slightly curved. It wasn't like the folding ones that we have now, but it was like slightly curved. Because I remember seeing this at CES, and I was like, yeah, it's like curved glass. Like that's cool. Let's see if there's another. There, wait. Which like now we think like, oh, we see that all the time in like monitors, but this was like a while back, So yeah, I said I just always thought that LG was a pretty big competitor, so it's kind of surprising that they're getting out of the business. You know what I mean?
Yep. I agree with Joseph in the chat. He says not a Samsung fan, except when it comes to storage, which, yeah. I mean, Samsung makes a lot of awesome products, right? Their TVs are great. Their SSDs obviously are awesome. And they make a bunch of other great products. Just as far as phones go, I've never been a fan.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess there's one less competitor in the Android space.
Yeah.
Which, Shinny is in the chat. He said, I had a Galaxy Nexus back in the day. It was also curved like that, but not as pronounced. Yeah, I remember when like curved glass, like it was like the cool thing, and like every company was making something curved. I remember when it first hit TVs, and then the phones, and then there was like some laptops that had like a weird, like the thing. Because I remember, especially for TVs, it was like we had like full HD, like going to 4K, and then it was, remember the 3D TVs?
Ugh. I like from day one, I was like, no, I don't want a 3D
It was just like a
This is
holdover
not
to
going.
like the next thing.
They were just jamming that in our faces. Like, yes, you want this, and nobody wanted it, and I'm so glad we're gone from that.
Also, back in the chat, because you know how good I am at reading the chat. Old Man had said what we were talking about with the submerged servers. He said it reminds me of the normal oil builds. The entire PC was submerged. I remember people doing this like as like as somebody who, you know, this is like your mod, your case mod. Like that's pretty crazy to do, right?
Well, and they'd some people though would forget like you have to have some sort of flow of that fluid, otherwise like it would get hot spots. So the CPU would actually get hotter than normal because the fluid around it would get hot and stay hot, but wouldn't like circulate with the rest. So you had to kind of have like pumps sort of circulating that, which was kind of funny. And then like if you put certain hard drives, you know, a lot of them will have like a vent hole, and there's usually a sticker on old hard drives that say like do not cover or whatever, right? You put those in there, well, the liquid gets inside the drive and isn't good. So some things you didn't always want to put in there, but yeah, it's kind of cool.
Old Man also said, I've seen some people complain about bloatware on Samsung phone and ads on their TVs after firmware updates. They're trying to monetize their customer base. Yeah, I mean, I like my Samsung TV. This is the first Samsung TV that I've owned. It's a QLED smart TV. I'm a fan of it, and I do like that they have like their own, like as long as you're connected to the internet, you have like Samsung TV, which is like 20 channels of like free stuff. It's like there's like fail armies on there, and like some stuff you can just throw on if you don't want to, you know.
Well, they have a lot of good integration between their things, right? Like my boss he's got a Samsung phone, Samsung TV, Samsung fridge, right? So like all three of those really do tie together pretty nicely. Like there's a lot of things you can do between them.
Because they're all part of like that. I think it's Samsung Smart Things. That's like the ecosystem. Exactly. And as long as once we start doing that home, the home integration, things really work together. So I don't know at my new place that has new appliances. Wonder if any of them are smart. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
it's like turn my oven on, preheat my oven from my phone or something. Shinny said, if they make a 3D TV that you don't need glasses for, that'd be cool. Yeah, the thing is about that,
it's like the 3DS.
Well, no, it's like I've always thought 3D was cool, but there's no good implementation of 3D like that actually looks real that I've ever seen. You know, it's like you see like the holograms and stuff, but like in person, it doesn't look that great. It doesn't. I would rather watch like a crisp 4K, 8K, 6K image on like a sick ass TV over a 3D. Looks like it's
some of the things look 3D, but some of them don't.
Yeah.
I never enjoyed it. You know, at the theater, you had to put on the glasses, and they'd always be scuffed up anyways and dirty. So you'd be like trying to clean them ahead of time, and then they're not comfortable. And I never enjoyed the 3D stuff.
That 3D was like shoved down our throat too, because they had nothing else. 4K was already out, and then the whole war between HD DVD and Blu-ray was like over, so like they had nothing else. There was no other technology at the time, so they're like 3D, and it was horrible.
And everybody said no, thankfully.
Yeah. George said there was some layered folding laptop screens. There was a Dell XPS in the mid 2000s that folded out into 3 panels. I actually remember Lenovo. Was it a ThinkPad that had one? It was like a 17-inch and then like another 13-inch screen pulled out from it. It was pretty cool, but it was huge. It was like this massively big laptop.
Well, wasn't there the Razer like prototype that got stolen from CES one year?
Yeah, that was 3 screens as well.
Yeah.
So our last story is sad because not that I was gonna go, but I just like seeing live events come back. Just like kind of surprised that Aorus or Gigabyte monitor was announced at an event. E3 this year has been announced that it is going to be online only. I just want live events to come back, man. you know. But yeah, online only events, just how they did it, you know, in 2020. So this is the first. This is, you know, the first big one that we're not going to get this year. Do you think we'll see some other big events like Computex? And I mean, the Computex they did say is going to be like virtual slash
kind of a mix, a weird mix. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see if any of the other big events that we usually follow will be online only. I guess I get where isn't E3 in LA?
Yeah.
I guess I could go.
So.
I guess we'll find out.
Not this year.
Well, not this year, next year.
Yeah.
But
you
yeah,
buy all the cool stuff.
I know that's the one thing. So one of the big things I'm looking forward to moving to California, because I'm not looking forward to the taxes and some of the other things. But I will be closer to a lot of the big events that happen because it's just so costly to go across the country, even to Vegas for CES. I mean, from Pittsburgh, that's a whole day of travel, and it's expensive. Now I can like drive to a lot of these events, so maybe we'll do a lot more live event coverage, which would be kind of fun.
Well, and you're a lot closer to like a lot of these companies anyhow, right? Like when you've been out there previously, you know, you've been able to, you know, schedule a visit to go take, you know, chat with the people that you work with, you know, on a pretty regular basis, but actually, you know, see the warehouses, work with them. That's kind of cool. Yeah,
so I will be probably having some pretty cool content once I get all settled and everything. But talking about moving, I did have some stuff here. I did post this one on my social media if you follow me on my on Facebook, but I found these the other day.
Yeah.
Which if it will there.
Those are some like
these are
some heat sinks.
These are the old HyperX DDR3. I love these when they came out. One, because they were blue. So back in the day, not a lot of companies were doing like different color memory, right? It's you know, so and they're huge. Like look how it's like
two sticks stacked on top of each other. They're enormous.
Yeah, the massive heat sinks with the red Kingston, which actually are the red HyperX and the Kingston logo on the side, but like that, the red looks so good on the blue. I think these are like one of the few old pieces that I'm keeping. And then I found this old graphics card. What's not actually that old. I don't even know what this is. I think this is it. What is this? I don't know what this is. Hold on. I'll show it to you guys. But it's like an older MSI card that I found.
A twin frozer.
2 gig. It's a 2 gig card.
It should say on the little product number, right?
That says N770 TF.
Nvidia 7. Was there a 770? No.
I don't know what this is.
Well, yeah, Nvidia 770 TF is twin frozer.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's so crazy to see how. So, like, if you look at these heat sinks, they're not all that big and they're not all that dense. And there's heat pipes on it and everything, but like it's not as heavy as like
doesn't weigh a ton.
Well, yeah, and it's so crazy to think because we're on this. I think this is Twin Frozer 2, right? This is TF2, so I think it's Twin Frozer 2. Maybe, but like we're on Frozer 7 or 8 now, so it's kind of cool to see. Like looking at this compared to like the Twin Frozer that's out there now, and like the fans are kind of normal fan, like they're not like they're fans or anything like that. So it's pretty cool to see. I don't know what this is. I pulled this out of an old system that I had in my storage unit. So I don't know. I really wish. Cool. Yeah, because usually it says it like on the PCB somewhere. And like I said, it says N7 to N770. So I don't know.
N770?
N770.
Dash, what was it? 2?
N770 TF 2GD5-OC. Like backslash OC. Yeah. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, it's a GTX 770 card. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's like, well, that's not the oldest card I have because I have a GeForce. I have a really old GeForce card as well. That's actually in the box, not open, but this is probably the oldest graphics card that I have. So. And George says,
"Yeah,
you should probably upgrade your GPU when you're talking about a newer card than as if it's ancient history." Yeah, I mean that's ancient history to me. And luckily, like I said, I get a lot of these cards to review. So, yeah, it's cool to see. It's cool to see the progression. If you have like an older card, on hand, and then you can compare it to like the newer card just to see how things have changed. This is pretty cool.
Yep.
But yeah, so coming up next week, obviously, like I said, we won't have a podcast next week because I think next Wednesday is when I actually get internet installed, and I don't even know if I'm gonna have my desk set up. I don't know if I'm gonna survive the 4-day trek across the country. So I think I'm just gonna spend that whole week to get everything back set up. But we will have at least one review of a 11th gen CPU, probably the i9, which I'm gonna get done. I'm almost like 90% done with the testing, and then we'll have the review up next end of this week, next week sometime. Also, we do have Z590 motherboards coming up. I wanted to test them all, so we have, when you read each review, you can see the results against other motherboards. I think that would only make sense. So those are probably going to be further out. And then Ryan has the mouse review of the HyperX Pulsefire Haste, which he's been decently better at video games since using it, I would say. So this is their lightweight gaming mouse. I'm a fan of. Are you a fan of lightweight, or you're going back? Have you gone back to a heavier mouse?
No, I've always been a fan of a lighter weight mouse. Now, like this is the first true lightweight mouse that I've had. My previous mouse, that I used all the time and like would always switch back to, was the Corsair Harpoon, and it was a little bit lighter. But this thing, I think, is gonna just be my mouse now, because
it's like
I do like the lighter.
Yeah, I still have the Model D here, the glorious. I think this is 62 grams, maybe.
59 on this one, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it just feels so much better in your hand. I feel so.
Yep. Definitely.
Shinny said that's a 2 gig card, still 1 gig. I still have a 650 boost on my shop. I used to have a lot of older hardware that I got rid of. You just can't keep it all. Like, especially when you're like, I've moved multiple times in the past couple of years, and you just can't keep it all. So yeah. So it looks like we will be gaming. Shinny's in the chat, so I assume we'll be playing some Apex Legends. So that's gonna be pretty fun. It'll be my last time gaming here, and my last time gaming for at least, I would say, till the next podcast, probably, because I'm gonna be so busy unpacking and doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, guys, so I appreciate everybody who's been in the chat, and of course everybody who listens later on as well. Wish me luck on my move, and definitely follow along. So I'll be posting stuff not only on my own personal social media, but ThinkComputers social media throughout the trip, throughout the like building up of the office, because I think I'm gonna set my desk up, and then over time, the office is going to evolve into kind of really what I want it to be. So that's going to take some time, obviously, but definitely stay tuned for all of that. And I will be launching or releasing a video this Friday. It's the last video that I shot here. So definitely stay tuned for that as well. So if you want to or continue listening to us talk and all of that and play games, we're going to be over on Twitch. We switch it. We go from Facebook and YouTube. We go over to Twitch. So it's twitch.tv/ThinkComputers. Ryan should begin that stream up. So as soon as we get off here, you guys can jump over there. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Like I said, hopefully I survive, and we'll